This is the tutorial video for part number 8, linkage peg. I'm going to start a new file, and I'm going to use a standard IPT. I'm going to begin my 2D sketch on the XY plane. I'm going to draw this as half of the linkage peg and then revolve it around its center point. So to begin, I'm going to draw a line straight up from the origin at 0, 0. And I'm going to draw this line straight up the y-axis at 0.325 inches. I'll right-click OK, and I'll zoom in so it takes up the rest of my screen. I'm going to use the line tool again, and I'm going to go back to the origin. And this time I'm going to go to the right on the x-axis, and I'm going to go half the distance of the diameter. The diameter happens to be 0.0625. So to figure that out, I'm going to simply type in 0.0625, and to figure out the radius of that diameter, I'm going to divide it by 2. So right-click OK so that I can move this dimension down. I'll zoom in just a little bit again here. And I'll move my dimension down. And I'm going to use the line tool again. And I'm going to be careful to grab the end of this 0.031 line that you see here. It's actually 0.03125. They just truncated it. But I'm going to go to the end of that line, and I'm going to draw a straight line up that's parallel with my first line. And this happens to be 0.25 inches up. I'm going to right-click OK. And I'm going to keep this dimension here just to clear things up in the future when I draw the top of the linkage peg. To do that, I'm going to start with my arc tool, and I'm going to grab arc, and I'm going to grab the little triangle underneath it, and I'm going to make sure that I grab arc center point. And when I do this, I'm going to make my first selection on this 0.325 line. I'm going to make sure that I don't grab the center of it, because it'll restrict me when I go to dimension it later. So I'm going to come up a little higher, somewhere where it's a yellow dot, and I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to grab the top of my 0.325 line for my second click, and then I'm going to drop it down, and somewhere over here for my last click. Now, the distance that this needs to be is a spherical radius of 0.1562. So I'm going to go ahead and dimension that at 0.1562. You'll notice that it dragged it over to this extension. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my line tool now, and I'm going to go to the end of my 0.25 inch line, and I'm going to draw out until it intersects with that line. And you'll see that I now have an intersection of these two lines. I'm going to use my trim tool, and I'm going to grab the bottom of this line, and I'm going to grab the extension of this horizontal line, and you'll see that it's still a 0.156 inch spherical radius. And then what I'm simply going to do is finish sketch. I'm going to use the revolve feature. It's going to select my profile automatically for me, and now it's going to ask my axes. And I'm going to select this center line that's 0.325 inches, and then I'm going to select OK. And then the last thing I'm going to do is put a chamfer on the bottom that is going to act as an eased edge. So I'm going to use a chamfer, and I'm just going to keep it on the distance here, and I'm going to select this to 0.01 inches, and I'm going to grab the bottom circle, and you'll see it apply. I will click OK, and this is the completion of part number 8, linkage peg.